Good morning and happy Monday to all of you. I hope you've had a wonderful weekend. So let us begin by kickstarting this week by placing our awareness in the area of the heart. And here we take very slow, very deep, very gentle breaths and just experiencing these flows. Imagine them flowing in and out of our hearts. This is where we draw our breaths from our nose or mouth, but we keep our awareness in the area of the heart because that is the engine that will help us kickstart this entire week. So do that for a few breaths. Keep the breaths symmetrical. 5 seconds breath in, 5 seconds breath out. If you do 4 seconds breath in, make sure it's 4 seconds breath out. Keep them very symmetrical. That balances the autonomic nervous system. Imagine these breaths are flowing into your heart and take it all the way down to your root chakra, your perineum, and then draw these breaths in and out from the perineum and out the root chakra. Go a bit deeper. When your mind wanders, just place it back in the area of the heart. Put your hand there if you want. That helps you keep that awareness in that area. Now, if your eyes were closed, you may open them if you want, or you can just use the ears to hear the next segment. So, good morning again. Thank you so much for joining me, as always, on this beautiful Monday morning. Hope all is well. Today, I wanted to share with you a concept of duality. It's a subsegment of the concept of duality. Let's talk about duality for a minute or so. Duality is where our universe is actually built around duality. If you look at a battery, for example, battery has a positive and a negative side. And so there's nothing that can be powered without having the duality. Same as the lights, our generating stations, the nuclear stations, wind, solar, all that relies on the interplay between the polarities between negative and positive. There's nothing that is powered without the polarity of negative and positive. Your heart, my heart, our hearts beat, and they push and they pull. So, they pump the blood, oxygen goes to the vessels in the lungs, picks up all the oxygen. That's why we take the deep breaths, because you want to make sure that it picks up, the deep breaths go right to the bottom of the lungs and the top of the lungs, so that when the blood goes from the heart, pumps out, it actually picks up all the oxygen from the top to the bottom of the lung, and then distributes it to the rest of the body, and then comes back to the heart depleted of oxygen, and then goes back to the same cycle again. So there's this masculine, feminine push in your heart, push and pull. So one of the things is that the push and the pull are connected together. So if you imagine your heart, for example, and I'm sure everybody can imagine, what if the push was stronger than the pull? Well, you'd have an unbalanced system in your body, right? Or the push and the pull were not rhythmic and they were very fluttering. And that's why we take the slow, deep, gentle breaths here. The universe is designed that way. So why would it be any different when it comes to our emotional states? When we feel sad and extremely sad, I want you to consider that there is an extremely happy counter emotion to that available to you, because the universe operates in polarity. Some people call it the law of polarities. So when you're feeling extremely sad, and if you connect to that idea that when I'm extremely sad, there's an equal and opposite balance awaiting for me, and then all we do is we set our sights onto the equal and opposite balance of positive, because the world will not operate with you being in sadness all the time. That's not how the world operates. Now, it may just be that you are extreme sadness and you gravitate towards somebody who's extremely happy, and that is what attracts you to them, because you are always, as a universe, we're always tending to create a balance. If that balance doesn't happen within you, you'll have to seek for that balance externally to you. And that's fine to help you get back into that center. But when you get back into that center and that external stimulus goes away, you're back into that sadness. So the idea here is it's okay to gravitate towards another help. Like, for example, if I go away to my cottage, I will feel a lot better. But then when you come back, you find yourself back in that sadness, perhaps. If that happens to you, then when you go back into that particular situation, you get back to that center. And in that moment of clarity, in that moment of rejuvenation, that is when you begin to say, okay, how do I bring this inside of me? How do I make it such that when I leave here, I take the essence of that counterbalance of joy with me inside me? And that is really, really the path to mastery. If you find yourself experiencing joy only when there's somebody else around, or only when you're cuddling your cat, but anytime you're not there, you're not feeling joy, it's because there is no counterbalance within you. That means there's no balance within you. And most of us need to have that balance brought back into that center. We begin by doing this particular exercise in the morning. That's why we breathe symmetrically. We breathe taking 5 seconds breath in, 5 seconds breath out, or some combination of that keeps the breaths in and out symmetrical, because that is what we want to do. So now what we do is we imagine things that come to us. Imagine happiness. and get that centrality. If we're already in joy, let's go to that place of calm and peace. And because that calm and peace is really the center line, and it is where magic happens. So we're going to do that next. This is why we do this practice every day or every week. And that's why I encourage you to do it every day. So let us now continue this practice, and let's now bring the balance into our duality just for the next 5 minutes by taking our awareness in the area of the heart, taking slow, deep, gentle breaths, and just experiencing these flowing in and out of our hearts. And as you get to that feeling of joy and gratitude, imagine yourself completely centered, balance. Smile on your face. Put a smile on your heart. Perhaps that'll help. But as you take these slow, deep, gentle breaths, imagine something that happened in the past that gave you joy. Fantasize about something in the future, or fantasize about something that just lights up your heart and restores balance, bringing the counter to your sadness, bringing that joy into your life that balances you out completely. Slow, deep, gentle breaths, experiencing these breaths flowing in and out of your heart. Can you experience a more intense version of appreciation and gratitude? Ask your body to allow you to experience a more deeper, intense version of gratitude and appreciation. Then you can open your eyes if they were closed. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Really appreciate your participation. If I can help you shift your reality from inside out, I'm here for you. I'm here, happy to do that. Let us now shift ourselves into a question and answer. There's been a couple of comments coming right through, and let's just take a look at that. See, the first comment here is, oh, good morning, Cynthia. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Good morning back to you. Shelley, you have a comment. I have learned that polarity and duality are different concepts. Polarity reflects the opposites, while duality reflects our soul existing in a biological bubble. Sure, and that's why they're called two different things. Polarity and duality. They have if we were to draw a Venn diagram, the two circles, there's that where there's a common bubble between them, and polarity and duality are two things, but then there are slight differences, and you've explained one of them. I don't quite understand the reference to our soul existing in a biological bubble. It may just, I think what you're trying to say, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, is that the soul, because it's etheric and spiritual, and then this physical shell of our body is a biological body, which works on a physical plane. You've got that duality between spirit and matter. And if that's the case, you're right. I mean, the spirit and matter are not opposites, although their textures are very much different. You can't feel spirit with our five senses. Spirit operates through our subconscious, but we can feel our body, our biological systems. But we know that anything energetic that's outside of us is no different. As above, so below. It's a holographic universe. So they all work together. One of some of the greatest discoveries of our time in quantum mechanics, quantum physics, is where scientists have figured out how to make things negative and positive at the same time. It's about things existing, coexisting in duality, but in unity. And if you've ever read the book Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh, I highly recommend for those of us who are trying to understand, make sense of our lives here, existentialism and all that. What his explanation through channeling from the higher self, from God, his explanation was this: that the great mass of a oneness wanted to find out how grand it was. So what it did was it broke up into smaller parts and looked back at itself and said, that's what big is. And now I know what big is and small is. And then it just kind of expanded from there. And the essence of duality for spirit, the body that we're in now is one that helps us experience a spirit duality, which is what the origin of our duality, if we can say origin, because there's no start or end, of course, but from our linear mind, it is how the grand design of the universe, the creator, the Godhead, chose to experience duality in order to really appreciate its greatness. And it sounds conceited the way I say it, but it's not. It's not meant to be. It's about discovering. It's about curiosity. If you only live in a pool of hot water, and that's just the same old, you don't know what cold water is, and it would be exhilarating for you to just pop out once in a while and come back in. And that is our lives. Our lives are meant to be that. Our lives are meant to be this temporary body here, experience the five senses, experience connection with spirit, and have that sense of duality, but reminders of that the uniformity, or that connection with divine, and then go back to duality, because we can't sustain the union with divine for too long in this body anyways. All right. Thank you, Shelley, for sparking that amazing monologue from me. I hope I didn't bore you. Thank you for the hearts that you sent. Wonderful. I don't see any other questions coming through. So I'm going to say thank you so much for joining me today. And I look forward to connecting with you next week. Take care for now.